Hello and welcome back to Door to Door Gaming. This is episode 9, and as you can see if you're watching from our backgrounds, it is spooky season. So we're going to be giving you a wonderful, horrifying Halloween episode. I'm joined by my co-hosts as always, Cameron and Dalton. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
And in the last episode, I think I won by default because they both hosted. And I realized during editing that we never really discussed who the next host was going to be at the end of the last episode. And I remember bringing it up to them, and then we never even discussed it after the fact. So I think I just fell into hosting. So I'm your host. I'm John. And at the beginning of every episode, what we normally do is we have a list of topics that we like to talk about, and we roll the D20 at the end of the prior episode to determine the topic for the next episode. So this month's episode is esports and streaming and how or if it is ruining gaming. Would either one... I am struggling to come up with my own opinion on this topic. So if anybody would like to take the floor other than me to start off with, it would be perfect.
Yeah, I've got some ideas rolling around in my head. So specifically, and I know you guys are pretty familiar with it, but it started around Halo 3, where like MLG became super popular.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden they kind of shifted their views on like map making to make the maps very symmetrical. And yeah, there's some symmetrical maps to begin with, but I think it's kind of eating some of the creativity with map design.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite maps was High Ground, which is like one team spawns on like a lower beach area and they have to run up a hill to like a bunker base that the other team is defending. And like that's really cool. It's really asymmetrical. There's multiple ways to like get around the main entrance to get into that bunker.
Right.
But anymore, it's just kind of like cut half the map and you mirror it.
It's got to be a mirror image, yeah.
And it's like the maps look great, but like the map layout is just...
And that's wild. I've noticed that in a lot of games also, where you can very clearly tell that they're doing like a I don't want to say League of Legends type layout for maps, but that's essentially what it is. It's just League of Legends is very good at hiding that it is a almost perfectly symmetrical map. Because each of the lanes, if anybody plays League of Legends, you have like 3 ways to attack the enemy base. You can go top, mid, or bottom lane, right? So the top lane is like you go up and then over, and the bottom lane is you go over then up. But the mid is just a straight cut through. So you have your center and then you're symmetrical on both sides. But the way they do League of Legends is there's like things hidden in the forests and mists in between all the other lanes that you can go do, and you'll get different buffs and stuff like that. So it kind of hides the perfectly symmetrical, because sneakier characters can kind of sneak through those areas and stuff like that. But as far as shooters have been doing this weirdly like perfectly symmetrical thing for years now, and it drives me. It's one of the reasons I don't play shooters competitively anymore, like Cameron was talking about with High Ground. They used to be real popular in old games, just having like absolutely batshit crazy asymmetrical. Zanzibar on Halo, it was a beachhead and then a like mechanical compound,
generator facility.
yeah, with a giant windmill that you could like use as an elevator. And there was nothing competitive about that map at all. You just had to know where you were and where you needed to go next, compared to like where you could guess other people were going to go, because obviously different points have pros and cons. But I don't know. No, I completely agree with you on that.
And then one other thing. Obviously, you have all the esports teams, and if you go on to any game now that has a presence in esports, you can buy that team's colors and represent that team as your character. And it's just like that's stupid. Stop doing that. That's stupid.
Yeah. I can't. Every time I go on Secret Labs chair, you gotta wade through the bullshit of, and I like esports. All right, I love the fact that esports exists because it's when I was growing up, and probably still when Cameron was growing up when we were real young, esports was a concept that just didn't exist when we were little. Video games, period, were such a niche thing that you would be bullied in elementary school for playing video games. Didn't matter what kind. I mean, like COD 4, the original Modern Warfare, is what really kicked off video games being popular with everybody. You had your Madden and stuff like that, but it was the Madden and the sports games were still ridiculously niche. It wasn't until MW2 or MW1 in 2007, maybe 2006, 2007, that video games started to become mainstream, right? So esports putting games out there and making people realize that like esports was one of the biggest contributors to video games becoming mainstream in the first place. It was just a hell of a fight to get up there, right? That being said, I can't stand going on to X Gaming website and having to wade through 23 different teams' shit pile of merch that I do not care about to find the World of Warcraft Secret Labs chair that I actually fucking want. I like watching the mad scientists and shit like that. I don't give a fuck about any of their merch. I want to get, I watch the esports mostly for the games that they play, not for the team. Now, everybody's different when it comes to sports like that. But it's hard to do that with regular sports, right? Because nobody watches football for the ball, right? You don't flip on football or soccer so you can ogle over the pigskin or what color soccer ball they're using. You watch it for the teams because that's all that's there, right? When you're watching esports, it's either about the teams or it's about the gameplay. And I feel like, honestly, most people watch it for the gameplay. So flooding the marketplace with merch that most people don't give a crap about does nothing but hurt anything. Promote the game that you're playing in instead of the teams as much. Hot take, sorry.
You're good. You're good. I mean, you basically, yeah, you basically added on to what I was saying. So like, we're in the same boat. We're in the same boat. Dalt, did you? I saw you snickering down there when I said stop with the game skins.
Yeah, I mean for you, I'm just gonna call you out specifically. You buy so many like shitstorm skins for every game you own. You spend so
Okay.
much money on cosmetics for so many. You dedicated yourself to being a literal rat hunter in Destiny. All right, like that was your whole
Okay,
persona,
but
was being a rodent.
to be fair, those are like interesting skins. I'm talking like you
Sure,
buy a
sure.
skin in Halo and it's like, oh, you're representing this MLG team, and it's like that's it. You
Yeah.
can't customize it. You can't change the colors. It's just their logo plastered on your character.
And
Yeah,
worse than
I
It's a
don't
free
that,
think
advertisement.
they're always really cool looking skins. Like the design work that they put into it is really awesome, but they also don't let you create your own something based, because it's always the same design, but the team name and the team colors and the team texture maybe always change, right?
mhm.
All of the
Yeah,
triangles and the logo inside the square is always in the same spot. So it always drives me up the wall when I see that, but I can't create my own custom thing out of a template that they clearly use to make the team stuff.
Sure.
but I will
I'm gonna
say,
play. Go ahead.
I
No,
was gonna say
you
you're 100% right. The amount of money I spend on skins in games is it's a problem. But
Now, I'm gonna play a little bit of devil's advocate because
okay.
I will say that I agree specifically within games, cosmetics for a lot of that stuff I do find a little bit silly. I can understand certain people that if there's like a particular game like specifically with something like Call of Duty or something where there are particular teams that have always been huge in that
Yeah.
genre or in that specific franchise, I can see how there are probably certain people that are dedicated to those teams, similar to how you would have somebody be like a Browns fan or whatever it is, like
Okay, yeah.
something a bit more related. It's a lot more difficult to like look into that when you're not a part of it. Like I think esports is really cool, but I'm
Yeah,
not
no,
super into
absolutely.
it,
I'm
and I
not.
don't watch a lot of that kind of stuff. I will say I will disagree a little bit on the physical merch side of things, because digital merch, the reason I think it's kind of silly is because not only are you like rebuying that every time a new game for that franchise comes out for that
Hmm.
team, you also probably don't use a lot of that stuff. I also don't. I try not to buy in-game cosmetics whatsoever with actual money,
Right.
unless it's
Yeah.
like I'll do like if there's like a battle pass or something. I will be willing to get to put like the $10 towards that, with the potential of maybe getting some cool skin that I thought looked neat in that pass. But I won't go out of my way to spend like on I've been playing a lot more Overwatch the past month or two,
Right.
and they spend like their all of their skins. It's and Call of Duty similarly. It's like the barrier to entry to get one cool skin is like $20 or more. And some of the Overwatch stuff, it's even more crazy, where you can spend like $70 to $100 for individual skins, especially with the esports stuff. That's where I think that's really crazy. That is
Mm-hmm.
one place that I will say that's nuts. Is you should not be spending more on a skin for a team than you would for just the game, like when Overwatch was paid for. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Yeah.
But I think as far as going back to the way that it has sort of influenced game design, and how it has influenced things like skill based matchmaking for a lot of people, that I think more goes towards streamers than it does esports players. But those kind of commingle a lot.
Hmm.
Um, but the like map design, like you guys were talking about, like 3-lane map designs, where it's like there's an A, B, and C lane.
Hmm.
Pretty much all the maps are laid out that way, and I do think that they try to innovate on that stuff a little bit, but it's hard when it's something specific like Call of Duty, which I can only speak to because it's the main shooter that I've played.
Hmm.
It designing a game that's so algorithmic in the way that it functions, you kind of have to have the maps to
Right.
fit the puzzle.
Now,
But I do think that there's maybe like one or two maps per game where it deviates from that, and a lot of times those do tend to be some of the fan favorites of those maps.
hmm see,
But
that's
at the
that's
same
my
time,
problem.
I
Is
think
there's way more 3-lane, if you will. We'll just call them 3-lane because that's
well
typically what it
that
comes
that that
down
is
to. Yeah.
yeah.
There's typically most games either have all 3-lane maps, or like you said, they only have one or two out of a roster of like maybe 15 that are
Mhm.
asymmetrical. Like,
Even
I'm
one
gonna
or
be the
two out
devil's
of like
advocate
10
with
is a
it.
lot.
Like, take your asymmetrical ones and separate them out from your ranked matches and your tournament matches, right? And leave, like I'm gonna be the devil's advocate in a multiplayer match where there are two teams, and let's say one is missing a person because somebody quit. There's nothing wrong with having a map that is a beachhead and a skyscraper, and the skyscraper guys get snipers and the guys on the beach get handguns. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a story to a multiplayer match like that. It's not baked into the game, but all of a sudden you feel like you're doing something like Siege. Like, oh, I feel like I'm playing Siege. You have to push this building against all odds and get to the fucking top. And you start out
Yeah.
on flat ground with guy in scope sights. Like, the game starts and two of you are offed, right? And you already have to respawn. There's nothing wrong with that at all in a multiplayer match.
Yeah, that is one thing that I really like about Battlefield. And I think that's where Call of Duty is able to get it right sometimes, is the way that Battlefield is able to make like these massive maps is based more so on the community that supports those games.
Hmm.
Because when you think of Call of Duty, it's in my personal experience like it's a younger audience, and it's
Hmm.
also, for lack of a better term, a more brain rotted audience. No offense to
Yeah,
those Call
no,
of Duty players out there, because I'm the same way. Don't worry, I love both franchises, but
it
I'm
is.
very much a Call of Duty
It's yeah,
player.
brain rot's absolutely not necessarily an insult in this situation. It is just a
Yeah,
game that if like I want to jump in a match, run around, kill people, not think about what I'm not doing, not think
yeah,
about what my
yeah.
teammates are doing, I'm gonna play COD. Like,
Yeah,
it's
and
just what it
there are
is. I
there
got 10
are
minutes before work. I'm already stressed out about work. I just want to
yeah,
relax and run around. COD, do a match in COD.
sure,
Now,
yeah.
I will say one of the worst offending games that I know of, and I've played a little bit of here recently, where the maps are asymmetrical and there is like zero to no strategy whatsoever, is Gears of War, dude. Like you get a Nasher and you do the little like wall glitch back and forth, and you're just capping people with the Nasher. You're they can't do anything.
Are you talking the OG3 or anything newer?
Anything. It's still an issue in any of the Gears of War games,
I
and it's just like
I never had that issue because if we can get a hold, the old servers are taken offline, but I'm sure I have my original save game on one of my 360s. My online stats were like, by the time I stopped playing Gears 1, my multiplayer kills were like 600 chainsaw kills, and like maybe 100 other fucking were by anything other than chainsaw.
like I can't tell you. Like I used to watch like clips of the week for like Gears of War and Halo, and the amount
Mhm.
of times it's just this dude in Gears of War just hopping between like wall bouncing between two boundaries and just capping people with the Nasher. And like they're the only person left standing, and they've killed like 15 people.
Well,
It's just like
if you want to take it back for a minute, Cameron, if you really want to teleport yourself back there, I'll tell you why. It's because he had the host shotgun. Remember that being a
okay,
thing?
yeah, okay, yeah. That was like Gears of War 1 and 2.
Yeah.
You can't really defend that with all the other new
Yeah,
gears that still
that's
have that
fair.
problem.
Daulton, so have you ever heard of the host shotgun in Gears?
I have not.
So
As soon as you
it's a
said it, I was like, huh.
it's a concept that was never really proven one way or the other. I don't believe. If Cameron knows otherwise, he can correct me.
Th-
But it
there
was
was
widely
definitely a host
believed that
advantage.
yeah, it was the host. So the way Gears worked is there were no dedicated servers for the first 3 games that I'm aware of. Everything, or for the first 2 games, I'm sorry. So when you were playing in a match, everybody was running off of some poor bastard's fucking the
It was
Wi-Fi.
peer
Yeah,
like peer to peer.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the person that was hosting, and like I said, I don't think anybody ever figured out what it was, or it was either the host had the best ping and they just were better at killing people faster than everybody else in the game because by default they had the best ping, they were hosting,
Right.
or B, the Nasher shotgun actually had a percentage damage percentile bump for the host. Now the rumor was the second, so even if it was just the ping and all the guns did that, everybody defaulted to using the shotgun all the time if they were hosting. So it's the host shotgun.
That's very bizarre.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So one final note, and then we can get into the core of the episode. Is I didn't necessarily say my like complete full encompassing opinion on
Yeah. Sorry,
esports
we
and
cut we cut you off and got
Yeah,
on
sorry.
no,
that
no, no, no,
tangent.
no, no, no. It's not that. I'm just I want to have like my own take here since we've each had our own little tangents. I will not say that esports or streamers have fully ruined what was it? Ruined gaming like as a whole. Is that like the topic that we're going with here?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so I fully believe that they have not ruined it. I think that there are certain elements that have like dramatically changed in the way that like I don't know. There are just a lot of things that there are a lot of aspects of certain video games and probably as a whole video games that have changed due to streaming and due to esports. But I also think that there are a lot of gains that we've had between the two with the way that like streamers and esports respectively, they both they're both able to build communities in a very unique way, similar to what you see in like in actual sports and what you see in all kinds of different things. And I think, that there's a lot of value in that, in the way that, like, you can go watch your favorite streamer play your favorite game, and a lot of times there are streamers that advocate for change in games, and there are good elements to it, and there are obviously bad elements as well.
Mm.
I think that more recently, um, I've been in this, like, space where it seems like everyone around me is a lot more jaded than I am, which is a bizarre like switch that's been flipped because normally I'm
You're the one
super
that's pretty
jaded and
jaded, yeah.
negative. And so I've like just like sat in my own thoughts and just been like, things aren't that bad. And I've seen a lot of like, okay, right before we started the episode, I was like, did you guys see the new Destiny thing that came? And you guys were like, just let it die, just give up and let it drown. And I'm like, no,
Dalton sent a text that said, and I quote, "Help, guys! I'm falling back into the addiction. I'm installing it again." And I said,
yeah,
"What could it possibly be? The game that is like digging its own grave at an alarming rate?" He's like, "Yes." Like no context on what the game was. You just all fucking knew.
But here's the thing: is I ultimately don't think that that's the case. Not to make this a Destiny conversation.
Right, you're fine.
I think that just like I've been trying a lot more to see a lot more positives in things. So
Mhm.
this topic inherently leans me more towards like oh well, a lot of my favorite streamers like advocate for change in a lot of the games
Mhm.
that I play, or they are the ones that introduce me to a lot of the games that I have then like gotten into. Same in the same way that your friend would be like, "Oh, check out this game." It's like the ability for you to go find some stream, or not even necessarily a streamer, but just like content creators and social media in general. They're able to point you in some sort of a direction where I can just be like, "Oh, I really want to try out this game." And it's helped me to enjoy games more.
Right.
But there are also certain things that like I don't necessarily give a shit about, and that's where I go back to Call of Duty, where like people are getting super in the weeds of like this has to be the most competitive game in the world. Everybody has to sweat, and skill-based matchmaking has to make sure that all the top people are playing against all the top people, or that all the top people are playing against all the shitty people, so all the top people can look as good as possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is like that's where I tend to draw a line a little bit, but I also have a lot more bias and influence when it comes to Call of Duty because I've played every single game in the franchise since COD 4.
Right. Okay.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I ultimately final answer, it has not ruined games, it has just changed them.
Hi. Hello.
Oh, and there's a dog.
Yeah. Hi.
Dog.
She forced her way up here. What's wrong? Are you okay? Are you okay? Yeah. Are you lonely? Is that what that
Yeah,
is? Everybody's
I
outside.
mostly agree with you, Dalton. I think you've made a pretty good point. I will say there is some stupid stuff that esports has kind of pulled into gaming, but I mean, really,
Yeah.
that's about it. I don't want to say it's ruined gaming.
Yeah,
I think it's made it
and
more
I'll
popular
agree
for
with you
sure.
on. Yeah,
Yeah.
I will agree with you on that point. And that's the other thing too, is it definitely has like expanded the scope. I do think that something like esports has brought video games into a bit more of a it's not as niche or taboo to be a gamer.
Yeah. It is.
Whereas in the past it has been like seen as a negative thing for a
Yeah.
lot of people.
It is. It's definitely, especially from my perspective, and I'm sure Cameron can kind of relate. I mentioned it earlier in the episode. It is a weird feeling. Having lived long enough at my young age that I can actually vividly remember hearing adults when people would talk about like MLG when Halo started it out. People were like, oh, video games have their own tournament now. They've always had tournaments, just nothing near as high profile as MLG was when Halo started doing it. And it's like, oh, it's fucking video games. People need to grow up. To not even like 10, 15 years later, right? It's been maybe 15 years, closing on 20, that it's just a thing now. Like people are raising their kids and their 5-year-old will be having a League of Legends tournament live on Twitch on the living room TV, and parents are just going about doing their shit. And it's mostly because like the parents are now me are the parents, you know, all the ones that we grew up struggling to get video games recognized as a mainstream thing are now the parents. And a lot of times, like in my case, I'm the ones that
Just
introduces that
indoctrinating.
shit to, yeah, say what?
Just indoctrinating your children.
That's exactly what it is. Like, a kid turns 4 years old. We're gonna learn what Mass Effect is now today. All right, we're gonna sit down. We're gonna play Mass Effect.
You're gonna have sex with the alien. Are you ready? Are you ready, Timmy? Do you want to fuck the alien? Say you want to fuck the alien. Press A.
I wanna fuck the alien.
I can't wait for the skibbity generation to become parents, and then that's how they raise their kids.
Dude, okay, we can't open this can of worms. We cannot go down this rabbit hole. Dude, kids are insane, and I don't understand it because I'm still so young. I mean, we are relatively close in age, but I am definitely the youngest person here. It is nuts, dude. I've seen
only, like,
so
one
much
generation
shit.
behind you, Paul. That's the
Yeah.
scary
Yeah,
part.
I know. They're literally like 5 to 8 years off
Cameron,
of when I was born.
did you
And they
fucking
are
Did you get the reel that I sent you the other day of the opening cutscene to Halo 3 redone with Gen Z talk?
Yes,
no.
dude, I lost brain cells watching
Hold
that.
on, Dalton. Continue talking. Yeah, I'll send it to you.
But dude, it just drives me nuts. Like I will not be able to imagine like those kids having kids and then trying to introduce them to video games, because ultimately I think they're just gonna put their toddler in a VR headset and just let them go to town and just let that be their entire existence. Like they're not even gonna do anything else. They're gonna be
Dope.
spoon fed. They're gonna be spoon-fed cereal and given
Foonsped?
their nightly melatonin while they just have a fucking Oculus strapped to their skull or infused into their cheekbones. I don't fucking know.
So
It's
I was
crazy.
I've been planning on trying to bring up streamers for the past couple minutes through, like, so we're just gonna ignore the cat eared streamers in the room, the cat girl streamers. But you just kind of wanted me to transition over to VR chat.
Oh
Oh
no.
no,
Have
that's
either of
even
you
worse.
seen
That's
you've
even
both
worse.
seen VR chat, right?
Yeah, it's
Yes,
so
Have you
yeah.
cringe.
experienced VR chat?
It's so cringe.
Not personally, but I've seen
It was kind
videos
of
of.
fun. It was kind of funny at first, like when it first released, but I've heard from what I have witnessed and what I have been told, it has just become a cesspool.
So let's blend the two together. VTubers.
Okay, so
Okay.
There's
I'm
a couple
okay with
VTubers that I fucking like.
I'm indifferent because there are some VTubers that I'm okay with, but there are also some VTubers that I could use terrible words to describe.
the only reason I'm okay with that is, like, it's easier to give yourself a persona online and be someone that you're not and have a character to represent you than it is to be yourself and sit in a room and talk to people.
Fair.
True.
So, like, right now, like, if I could be someone else and still be doing this with you guys, then yes, I would. But you guys already know me, and you already know my personality. So,
I
like, at
was
this
gonna say
point,
you already leaked your face to everybody online through this, so otherwise I'd say,
exactly.
like, throw up a fucking VTuber thing while you're there and get on it.
Nah, nobody knows me. This isn't my real face.
You just fade. Do you know that? Do you know the meme? Do you know the meme
There's
where
a
I can't find
zipper.
the
Just
ketchup? Yeah. No. You know the meme where, like, Mom, I can't find the ketchup in the fridge, and she, like, grabs nothing and it materializes. Have you seen
Oh
that?
yeah, that's like all like
what?
pixelated,
It, like,
like
pixelates.
distortion.
That
Yeah,
happens to Dalton right now. He's like, I'm not even here, and he just disappears.
it just disappears into pixels. It's like,
We still hear him. He's he's on a
I'm
different
not real.
plane now, man. That's all it
I'm
is.
not real.
so. Uh, I think we're getting off topic.
You don't
um,
say.
well,
That's
I mean,
fair.
we have a knack to do that.
Yeah, that
Um,
happens a lot. Anyway, so as a consensus, I sent you that, Dalton, in our group chat. As a consensus, video games good from esports, video games bad from esports.
I
Unga
say
vote.
I say good.
Okay.
Yeah, good
So
overall. Good
I
overall.
think
video.
if we were nuancing the scale a little more to be like 1 being bad and 10 being good, I'd give it like a 7.5 or an 8. It's
Okay.
done
All
some
right.
good, it's done some weird, but I think the shift is overall positive.
All right. Cool. So, video games benefit. Video games good from streamers. Video games bad from streamers. Oonga boonga.
As long as it's not
Good?
Fortnite or Among Us, I agree. Good.
Yes. I agree
Emergency
with Daulton.
mating. No. No, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Because there's,
I would like to. Go ahead.
I think with streamers, just sometimes stuff can get cringe. I think that's just
That's
what it
fair.
comes down to. I don't
Can
think it's
I,
necessarily attached to the games themselves.
as a father of 6, yeah, you heard that. I think it's the first time I've said that. As a father of 6, I'd like to formally request that we replace your Fortnite thing with Roblox. I don't like either,
Really?
but I will do Fortnite over Roblox. Because I look at it all the fucking time in my house.
But what if I want to do a prison RP? What if I want to do a Roblox prison RP where I'm a prisoner and I'm trying to get out?
Be a man.
See,
Go commit a felony. Be a man.
that's where
I
video
would lose
games
my
get kind of weird
job.
for me.
I don't know about that one.
I remember as soon as they started allowing custom games into Overwatch, I remember specifically
Yeah.
scrolling through the list of them, and there was one. It was Reinhardt obliterates all his Torblets. And it was
We're banned. Y'all have a good
yeah.
night.
Yeah. It's just like it's like you have to sit there and wonder how someone concocted that in their head.
What the fuck are Torblets?
Oh, he's got.
Torbjorn. Not gonna say anything else about that, Dalton. Just gonna.
I think
Can someone
let's
help
talk
me?
about games, other games that aren't Bjorn and.
All right, so here's the thing. As part of our, I'm taking the reins here for a moment. As part of our Halloween thing, we decided to do somewhat scary stuff. I don't know what the other two picked. They might have like flat out horror games. I personally went a bit more of a nuanced route with the scariness of my game. Okay, that's it. Somebody else
And that
take it.
is.
Take
No,
the wheel.
you already fucking decided to run with it.
Oh fuck.
Say your-
Okay.
say
Oh.
your-
Okay.
say your fucking game and do your segment.
Oh. Okay.
Shit.
All right. All right. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So John, we'll see if you caught on to which game I was referring to. We went through like a whole list where he was trying to figure it out. I picked The Last of Us.
Do I need to remind you what is out there?
Once upon a time.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
So I picked this one because it was a game that I have never finished, and as of this recording, I still haven't finished, but it doesn't mean I won't. And always enjoyed and appreciated the story and the cinematics and the artistry and the music. It's so good. Like there are just so many elements that when it released, I was 12.
Continue.
So I didn't necessarily get to enjoy it to its full capacity. But Last of Us released in 2013 for PS3. I think it's exclusively Sony, so it's just PlayStation. Then they remastered it for PS4, which is the version that I'm playing. It's the Last of Us Remastered. Then they remastered it again for PS5. And completely re-released it with a new price tag, which is why I did not buy it, because the other one was free for PlayStation Plus, which I had. And they've also done like a slew of they've done like a DLC, they've done sequels. It's also expanded to an entire like media compound of things. There's a TV show that I think just released their second season that I've heard pretty good things about on HBO Max. I have not had the chance to watch it as much as I do want to. I just don't have HBO Max, and I'd have to con one of my friends into giving me his login, which I have not done because I have a backlog of shows and movies that I need to get through as well that I am working through very, very slowly, and that is very low on the list of things. But developed by Naughty Dog, published by Sony. I love this game. And I think go ahead.
So that being said, have you played the games that follow after the first one?
You're talking like the whatever that little DLC sequel was or the actual sequel?
Correct.
The actual game, like Last of Us
Part 2.
I have not, no.
Have you played the
Okay,
DLC?
okay.
No, I have not. I have
Okay,
I have exclusively played through I think my current save I'm not super far on, but when I first played it, I think I got roughly halfway through the game. I couldn't tell you exactly where I was as far as like what I've seen and what I haven't because I'm remembering it as I'm playing because
Right. Where
it's
did
just
you
been so long.
do you know where you left off? Like
You're
playing it now, do you know where you left off the last time you played it?
Oh, playing it now, I just got to I just after you go off with just Ellie. So not super far. I'm only like a
Oh,
couple hours into this
okay.
playthrough, but
After the
Yeah,
oh my god, to
Tess.
sacrifices or yeah, Tess sacrifices herself at the
Yeah.
yeah. It's not really spoilers. It's like literally an hour into the game. It's
Yeah.
like
see,
the
I
first big plot twist of the game.
was curious as to if you know anything about the second game, because it is everyone that I talk to agrees that the first game is a masterpiece. And then you
God.
bring up the
Mhm.
second game and it is so divisive. There are
Oh
people
yeah.
that are like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's terrible. Oh, it's good. Oh no, it's terrible." So like I was curious if you
Yeah.
knew anything about that.
Yeah, I personally don't. I haven't had the chance to play the second one. The only thing that I have experienced from part 2 is just that the like entire storyline apparently got leaked forever ago and then there was this whole tirade of people going into like YouTube comment sections to spoil as much of the game as possible for
Right,
anyone that
yeah.
was willing to read the comments. Luckily I dodged that, so I literally know nothing. So don't
Yeah. I
don't
am
make me cry.
Cameron, you've played through the second one, correct?
No, I've never played any of them, but I know the stories. Like I know
All
like
right.
what
So I
happens
know you said
basically.
it's divisive, but the second one is way better than the first one. And I feel like you guys can extrapolate your own thoughts from me saying that because at this point you guys have a fairly accurate idea of what I like and what I don't like in video games. But the second one is so much better. And I am absolutely not Team Ellie in the second one. I am Team Abby. Play it and you'll figure it out.
Yeah, see, I don't even know who the fuck Abby
Yeah.
is. That's
Yeah.
like how little I know about the second game.
Have you seen the show? You seen the first season of the show?
No, I think you
I
walked away when I was talking about it.
yeah, I
I
did.
really want to watch it. I just have a huge backlog of stuff, and I also don't have
That's fair.
HBO Max. So
That's fair. I was gonna say they follow each other close enough to where it would be a very cool experience to. So if I remember correctly, the game has a set number of chapters, and the show has a set number of episodes, and they roughly line up.
that's
So
cool.
it's one of those things for anybody listening. It is worth it to watch and play the show and the game together. So
Yeah,
yeah,
but
fantastic game.
yeah, as so I went down a pretty deep rabbit hole over the last couple days where I was watching. I think actually just like a day or two ago, somebody released. Have you ever seen like the experts react to insert thing here where it's
Oh
like
yeah, expert surgeon reacts to Space Marine implants, shit like that. I'm playing almost
yeah,
40K
or
cake. I've seen a lot of
like
that.
one that I watched was like expert spec ops soldier reacts or expert UK it wasn't even expert, it was X. It was like
Right.
retired UK special forces reacts
Right.
to I don't remember what mission it was, but it was some
Okay.
mission on a Call of Duty campaign. But the most recent one that they just released like a day or two ago was the guy that did the motion capture for Joel in The Last of Us
Ooh.
going through a bunch of different scenes that he had worked in, alongside like a bunch of behind the scenes stuff of them actively doing all the motion capture and stuff. And you saw them in their suits, and like you saw all this different stuff that went into it. So I went down this whole big rabbit hole of just watching all these random videos regarding the production of the game. And
Who played Joel?
Is so cool.
Who played Joel?
Yep. Mocap is really cool. When I was going to school,
what's his name?
One of the classes I was taking, I actually got to mess around with a mocap suit. Like, I didn't have it on, but we took turns, kind of animating with it.
Dude, if
So, like, we had
I
like
would lose my shit.
That'd be fucking
yeah, it was
sick.
cool. So we had like a pre-rigged model that we had to like bring to class, and then like there was like certain plugins for this program where like you could animate using mocap for your character. So
That's
so
fucking
pretty cool.
awesome. Have you seen some of the homebrew tech, like mocap alternatives? Like like not just for like VR chat and shit like that. Obviously you can get base stations and get pucks and stuff like that for your joints and all that fun stuff. But it's on GitHub, so you can get it pretty much for free. If you can get a hold of one of the old Xbox, oh fuck me.
Connect.
Yes, the old Kinects. You can use the Kinect as a heat sensitive and a depth sensitive mocap unit without wearing a suit, and it's pretty fucking accurate. I've seen a lot of like homebrew stuff from back in the day that people would make homemade animations. The more popular one is there's a company that sells, it's not Logitech, but there's a company that sells a webcam, and you can pick up this webcam for like $40 new, and it uses a different sensor than most webcams do. It uses it's a sort of thermal sensor, but it's a thermal sensor that can also sense depth, I think is what it is. And you can use it in a much cheaper and much simpler way than you can the Kinect. A super off topic and tangent, but there's a lot of people that'll do like amateur 3D animations of like fanimations for different universes and fan bases, and it's one of the more popular ways to like record, essentially rigging without having to do each frame of animation. Pretty cool. Now that I took this off topic.
No, you're all good, but I think like watching the videos of the actors that played Joel and Ellie doing all the scenes, or a particular segment in that video talked about, for anyone who has not played this game and does not want anything spoiled, click off now, because I'm about to spoil the immediate intro to the first game, because it is one of the most heart-wrenching moments in
I just
gaming
heard it,
in
dude.
general.
I just heard Sarah, come here. Watch this shit. You won't be able to see her. The wince that Joel's daughter makes at the end of the opening of the first game. The wince, the breathing of Joel's daughter at the end of the first game. She's frowning. She immediately knows what the fuck I'm talking about, dude.
Yeah, it
is one of the most heart-wrenching things I think I've ever experienced in a video game.
So the guy that played Joel in that scene, or in all the scenes, but particularly in that scene, he was talking about that scene and the level of like commitment and passion that you could tell he had for that moment. It was amazing and fascinating to see him talk about it, because a lot of times when it comes to video games, I feel like a lot of people disconnect the sort of narratives and the storyline and the emotion that sits behind a lot of that kind of stuff, because it's like sometimes it's not super immersive depending on your environment. Like a lot of people, they play games while listening to music. Like I've found that I have intentionally stopped doing other things when I'm playing specifically RPGs or anything single player. Anything single player, I try not to sit in Discord calls. I try not to talk to people. I try to just sit there and just play the game.
Anything that's thematic or is trying to tell you a story, yeah.
Because it gives you the chance to fully enjoy those moments, or fully feel
apart
impacted
from them.
Yeah, not necessarily enjoy in that context, but Um, he was talking. The guy was talking about how the first version of that scene that they did, he is like looking up into the sky and like screaming and wailing and crying after she finally dies, and is just like looking around with just like this dread and this like this, like his eyes are glossed over, and he just looks fully lost, as any parent would be if they just watched their child die in their arms, you know.
So
And
he really
apparently
got
he's
into character.
Yeah.
yeah, well, it
I
was more,
read
it's
something
more
where
than that.
both of the actors on numerous takes, it took them multiple hours to calm down from the amount of emotions that they were like hyping up for this particular scene.
Yeah.
And it was a repeat situation for the show as well.
Yeah, and the well the really interesting part too is he said that they did that take, or before he even like walked in that day, a day or two before, the producer or the director was like, "Hey, just so you know, tomorrow we're doing this scene." And then the guy was like, "Oh fuck, like I'm gonna have to actually do this, and I don't want it." No one wants to do, I mean, they want to do that, but they know that because they know that it's important and that it matters, but they also know that it is going to take a toll. And he was talking about the experience of it and how the first version of that was him like being super dramatic and like and like wailing and crying and not necessarily being over the top, but just being that like broken in that scene. Like that was what he was trying to convey.
Right.
It was how broken Joel was losing his daughter.
Right.
And he said that they shot it like 6 or 7 times. And even as he was telling the story of the process, he started like tearing up and like choking up on his words. Just thinking about it, it was enough to like pull him into that space again. And he said I think he said like a month or two later, the director came back to him and he was like, "Hey, so we got to do it again." And he pulled him back into that whole that mindset, that frame of mind, that space where he had to re-experience all of those awful emotions and convey it for an audience of producers and people, crew working on the game and whatnot. And the director was like, I see a broken man in what you were doing. But what I don't see is like you see the end product. Like ultimately any parent will be broken after losing their child, but
Mhm.
there is normally like, it works into it where there are like steps on a ladder that
It's
you can
not
hit before
as
you get to
speaking
that
as the only
destination.
parent here. I think I can kind of understand where he's coming from. You wouldn't immediately lose your shit. There is a there
It's the
obviously
stages of
because,
grief.
well, yeah, and it starts out obviously with the quiet and the first stage
Denial.
of grief, yeah, which is denial. And I think the final product, Dalton, you've seen it. The final product is extremely fucking accurate to how I think an adult or a parent like myself would actually react to a situation like that,
Yeah.
which is mind-boggling to me. Yeah, yeah. You're
Yeah.
gonna there's gonna be quiet and whimpering and then begging and then it's not over the dry. No, no, that's not how it's a disbelief. You just watch something that your brain previously thought impossible, so you refuse to believe it until the first couple seconds tick by and they're still not moving, and then you're forced to start to come to terms rather rapidly with a very heart-wrenching situation.
Yeah. And it was done super well, and when they were talking about the whole process of that, you can tell that the final product, like, it wouldn't have felt right if it was the original way that he had explained it. And they even showed
Mm-hmm.
like a bunch of the behind the scenes stuff of it too, and you see him looking up into the sky with like his arms out, and he's like just like you can tell that he's questioning every decision he's ever made in
Yeah.
that scenario as like a parent. And he eventually and it like to what you said about you actually being a parent is he said that he never understood what that scene meant until he had his own kid. Because he had a child after he had done
Oh,
that
okay.
game and after he had worked on that game, and then like that now he relates to that scene so much more because they had him redo it and because they had him rethink the process to think more like a true parent and how like they would respond to that scenario. And I don't know, it was just fascinating. I don't want to go on too much of a tangent because I could talk about it forever.
No, you're
But
fine.
just the design and the care and the artistry of the game and the story that it's able to tell is utterly captivating, and I truly do think that The Last of Us is a masterpiece.
Oh, absolutely. If we were talking games that affect you on an emotional level and tell you a story, The Last of Us is absolutely my favorite game of all time. With I it's super cliche to say it, but when I completed that game, I was a different version of myself than the person that started playing that game. Yeah, and it's there's not consumable media that comes along very often that can do something like that to you, let alone a game. A lot of games try, but to my knowledge, The Last of Us is the only game that's ever been made that can do what it did to a human being.
Yeah, and I've even played that intro of the game before.
I've played through it
more
like
than
15
once.
times and I bawl every fucking time.
Yeah, it's and I'm a person that normally games and like the narratives of games really they don't push me or touch me very much, but I think it's obviously the context is that it's like it's set in America. It is semi-modern times. Like it's so relatable in a very unique way that you wouldn't necessarily expect. And I think that's ultimately what makes it hit so much harder is because it truly feels like that moment could have actually happened.
Yeah. I've always looked at the story that it tells you and the quality that they've made the game with and everything like that as like for a person that does not read books. Well, I like reading. I just don't read that often. But for a person that doesn't like to read books, it's like finding the one book that you do like and then sitting down and reading it. That book is always going to, even if you hate reading books and you're not going to read another book for another 8 years, you'll always remember that book because it caught you, and there's not many that can do that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just Cameron. I highly suggest I
it's
don't think
definitely on the
I've had a
back burner
higher
for things to
suggestion
play.
than this on the podcast. It is definitely worth it.
Yeah,
It's on the back burner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful game. It tells a really awesome, unique, interesting story that I'm excited to see more of because like I said, I have never actually fully finished the game.
Right.
And I want to keep playing it. So, yeah, that's kind of all I got. I just wanted to fucking jerk off Sony for 30 minutes.
Dude, Naughty Dog did an amazing job. You're good.
Yeah.
All right.
So who's next? Who wants to talk about their spooky game? Oh, I didn't even talk about that. Okay, one last thing to actually tie it
part
into
of the spooky game.
Yeah,
that
you
you
just
played?
yeah,
forgot
yes.
about that.
Yeah, one last little thing to like actually tie into the theme of the episode.
If you have to put a gas mask on that game, you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah, but if there's one thing I can say about video games that I play and my ability to do something, or in this case, lack thereof, I am so terrible at stealth mechanics in video games. So this game has rocked my shit over and over in a way. And the spooky part comes in with fucking clickers, dude. They are creepy. They are weird. The noises they make, the way they look. There's one moment early in the game where you are walking with Ellie. I don't remember if Tess is still there when I think she is still there. It's right before all the shit goes down.
Mm-hmm.
There's a clicker that hasn't like reanimated, I suppose, yet. And it's stuck to the wall because there was a spore on the wall that had eaten its way into the infected's head and then spewed out of its eyes. And it's the grossest looking thing in the world. But that's for anyone who doesn't know about this game. There are like multiple stages to infected. They don't call them like zombies or walkers or whatever other terminology you're familiar with in zombie or post-apocalypse type games. They call them infected, and there are different stages. And clickers, what happens is the infection gets so bad that they generate spores that like coexist with their body in like this it's sort of this like parasitic environment that takes over their ability to see because the spores infect their eyes and then like splay out like they almost like bloom like flowers. It's really gross looking, but they use echolocation to figure out where the fuck you are because they take over your eyes and they're blind. So the reason they're called clickers is because they make a clicking noise with their mouth that allows them to see where you are. So you have to stay hidden anytime that you're in those environments. The other thing, you can't punch them like you can all the other infected. You can literally just like hit them with your fist and they'll eventually die. Like it's that simple. The mechanic is quite simple in that way. It's kind of just a button masher if you get into a sticky situation with a low amount of infected. But that is where the spooky comes in because I am terrible at stealth. And every time that I hear a clicker, I swear to God, my heart rate goes through the roof. I feel like I'm going to pass out because my blood pressure is spiked into my skull. And I'm like, oh, great. No matter what I do right now, if I make any sound, this dude's going to know where I am and it's going to fucking kill me.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, you have to have a shiv to kill them, correct?
You either have to have a shiv or you can shoot them. Yeah.
Okay,
and shivs are craftable. So and once you use them, they expire.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. If you're I've been very diligent about going around and collecting as many materials.
Every time that a clicker shows up, there is a chance that you don't have materials, you don't have a shiv, and you're out of ammo. There is always a way around it, but you're forced to use stealth.
Yeah, and so
I roughly know the story.
Okay.
Why? Okay, so is it that everyone can be infected by this
yeah.
what do they call? There's a specific name for that fungus because it actually exists in real life.
The cordyceps.
Cordyceps. There we go.
Yeah.
So is it that everyone can be infected by it, or is it just like a mass majority of the world was infected by it?
Everyone is infected by it, asterisk.
Okay.
Ellie is the only known one that is immune, like on the planet. She's the only known person that is immune.
Okay.
So everyone, asterisk.
That being said, the main character.
Yeah, that being said, it's not a story where everyone is infected. Everybody can become infected.
It's not like
the opening.
It's not like
game,
The Walking Dead.
Yeah, the opening of the second act of the game actually, you walk out of the food ration place. You walk out of where you essentially get your food rations. You're getting paid for the job that you did, and you're walking down the street, and it's all. Do you know the game? Have you seen the game? The show like World War Z?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So like how humanity has walled themselves into different districts and cities, but everything's still run down, but they're doing their best to human, essentially.
Yes.
That's what this is. So you're walking down and there's loudspeakers talking about curfews and loudspeakers talking about ration cards and loudspeakers talking about bullshit A and bullshit B. And then a couple of soldiers for fucking insert acronym for what's left of the US government here. It's essentially like if FEMA was militarized and given government control. Bring like 4 people out of an apartment building, line them up, hands bound behind the back on their knees, head down, and they're testing him. They fucking shoot a needle in the dude's neck, and it's like, all right, green, you're good. Green, you're good. Red. And then everybody starts freaking out. They fucking shoot him in the street, kind of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the infection does transfer in the same way that you would typically have like zombie games.
Blood, saliva, shit like that.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like
Don't get
getting
scratched,
scratched,
don't get
getting
bit.
scratched, getting bit.
And that's the main draw of Ellie. Ellie has, is it on her arm? It's on her arm, I think.
Yeah, it's on her
She's
forearm,
got like a really fucked up section of her arm where like she didn't get bit, she got the shit gnawed out of her and it healed up and everything. So yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic.
I mean, that was the only question I had. Like I said,
Yeah,
I roughly know about the game, so
yeah.
Well, Cameron, you have homework now. Now that John and I spent so much time drooling, you're gonna have to play at least play like the first 30 minutes.
I got him to play.
Like
he played
just
all
sit
the way
down
through
and
Final
play the
Fantasy
first 30
VII.
minutes.
Or no, you haven't quite beat it yet.
I'm on like the last like hour and a half worth of gameplay.
Okay.
So.
Right on. Oh yeah. So.
But yeah, if you just have like half an hour at some point in the next like week or two, just play the prologue, like just that intro. Because I guarantee you, even if you don't stick with it, you will love it.
Yeah. Yeah, that first half hour is an experience that I think everybody should experience. Even if you just look it up online and watch the opening, the first act.
That's how I was first introduced to The Last of Us, was from the Rad Brad, I think is his name.
Okay.
Does a lot of playthroughs. And he's pretty popular. He like gets pretty much every single big game early and then like releases like a bunch of videos.
Does he talk over him, or are they quiet plays?
A little bit of both. It's largely quiet. Like
if we're doing let's plays for the sake of let's plays, I prefer people that don't talk.
Yeah, he mainly does not talk.
Cool. I'll have to look him up. Rad Brad.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Now, all of that being said, I'm not okay. So I know, spooky season. I'm really not real big on horror movies, especially like slashers and stuff like that. Don't care for them. Zombie movies, however, those are my go-to. I can enjoy a good zombie movie.
Right on.
So.
Oh yeah, they're close enough to zombies that it's like you get the vibe. You get that same vibe.
Yeah, I can imagine them, like, because they're blind and using echolocation, they're probably kind of stumbling around a little bit like a zombie would.
Yeah, you definitely. It's a very unique experience when you encounter them, but it ticks off a lot of check boxes for what you're expecting in traditional zombie horror.
Yeah,
hell yeah, Last of Us, go play it.
Especially you, Cameron.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll sit down and play it. I know I've been saying that for years because everyone keeps telling me about it, but I'll do it.
Your clock is 1 minute off compared to mine. Sorry. Go ahead.
That clock it's always going to be off. It runs slow. Anyway, John, is your game serious and story driven? Because if it is, you should go next.
It is not. Absolutely not. Mine is. Okay. It is not. No. So you want to go?
Damn, I'm the only one that brought a tearjerker. Apparently.
You're I think you might be the only one who actually brought a serious game. If I'm being honest.
That gives me hope. Yeah, I think you already mentioned what you're bringing, but I can't remember what you said. I'm gonna remember it the second you say it.
So, did you want me to go then, John?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So, Daulton, if you're all wrapped up, I'll go.
Yeah, by all means, go for it.
Okay. So I brought to the table Dead Rising.
Okay.
Specifically the remastered one, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about the original one.
Remember that name, because the whole world's going to know it in 3.
So Dead Rising is a action-adventure game developed by Capcom. The original came out in 2006. The remaster came out like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So, to preface this in a way that makes it sound like I'm not trash talking this game. It's
That's a good start.
it's a fun game. It's a fun game, but it shouldn't be taken seriously. Like, it's a zombie apocalypse, but like to the tune of Dawn of the Dead, but or like Shaun of the Dead, where it's just like there's a zombie apocalypse and you're trying to stay alive, but you're using literally anything in your means to stay alive. So
Can I
you
chime in really
play
quick?
as yeah, go ahead.
So the way that I describe Dead Rising is like if a zombie apocalypse game was made by the people who made like Saints Row.
Yes, yeah, that's very accurate. That's very accurate.
Yeah.
So the story follows the story follows you, the player, a photojournalist by the name of Frank West. He was basically given tips that there was an uprising in this small town. Well, a small town with a big mall, big shopping mall, Willamette, Colorado. So you fly in by helicopter, and you're like kind of hanging on the side. You're taking pictures as you're flying through, and you're seeing like what would be civil unrest, like people um fighting each other. Things explode. There's a gas station that explodes. There's people that are like looks like they're being mugged. Um, and you're like you're getting a feeling that it's not nothing is good in the neighborhood. Um,
Really, I hate you.
really, really. So as you're flying, you're taking pictures, you're gathering evidence for this story of like, hey, there's something going on in this town. It's not right. Um, and then all of a sudden, there's like Blackhawks, like choppers that come like flying up, and they're like, hey, like you're in a no-fly zone. You need to leave now. Um, the pilot of the helicopter that you're in basically is like, hey, I'm going to drop you off on the top of the shopping mall, and I'll come back for you in I think it's a week. You have like a
Yeah.
week to do everything, get your story together. So it is a timed game, which I don't really care for, but I'll get to that in a minute. So you basically jump out of this helicopter onto this mall. He takes off, and there's a
But
very mysterious Hispanic man that is
Yeah.
standing there, and he's just like, oh, so you're the reporter to come, witness all of the world ending. And
but
Frank's like, what?
but before you get into the meat of this fairly serious story, for the listeners and viewers that have never played Dead Rising, for the serious story that Cameron's about to spin, I would like you to know that my favorite time, I have video of this, that I've ever spent in Dead Rising was running around in a tutu beating zombies to death with a traffic cone. Please continue.
It's a very serious game.
It's a game.
It's a game. So, Frank, as he's having this conversation, he's like, wow, for civil unrest and people like going mad, it's like deathly quiet. And this mysterious stranger you're talking to is like, almost like everyone is dead. Yeah, so you soon find out. You basically go into the shopping mall, and you go down to like the first floor, and there's a bunch of people like making a makeshift barrier to try and keep the people out. And you soon realize like, oh, these aren't people. These are zombies. So you're safe for the time being. You can kind of wander around, talk to people,
That
get
bitch loses
get
her dog. Sorry.
Yeah, so and that's what causes the whole issue in this game is this crazy lady, this crazy old lady's like, "Where's my poodle? I need my dog." And the dog is outside of the doors where all these zombies are piled up, not being attacked, not being bothered. The zombies don't even care that the dog exists there.
The
They
dog
want
just wants
people.
let in.
Yeah. And so the crazy lady, okay, she's an old. This is the only problem I have with the game is how they start the game. She is a frail old lady, and she shoves like 3 dudes. I'm talking like one of them's like
Oh
a heavy
yeah.
set dude, one's kind of jacked, and the other one's built kind of like me.
And
She
not
like
like
shoves them.
she throws them, dude. Like
Yes,
they
she
go
shoves
all
them
like
out of the
full on
way.
Hollywood like whoa.
Yeah. And then she tears through this makeshift barrier of like park benches, trash cans, things you would see around a shopping mall, and opens the door to get her dog, and all the zombies pour in. So,
And somehow
yeah,
between exactly that moment, if I remember correctly, and a 3-second loading screen, the lobby gets filled with like 170 zombies.
yeah,
It
it's
was a bit
pretty
excessive.
instantaneous. Yeah. So, you playing as Frank now in a mall full of zombies, you have more than enough proof that there is something going on. But you have an entire week to basically get the entire concrete evidence, like what happened, why it happened, and all this nonsense down to a T. So you team up with a small group of survivors that basically made it out of the shopping mall lobby,
Hmm.
and uh, Brad is one of the guys who's like, hey, we need to like go around the mall and get as many survivors as possible. Like we don't want to just leave people to die down there. Uh, so you trying to get pictures. That is like one of the key things about this game is you can pull up your camera and take pictures, and they score the pictures, and you get
Get
points, and
PP
those
points.
points equivalent to your player level. You sneak back in through the air vents, back into the mall to basically get survivors. That's basically the entire story right there. Now, what makes this game super fun and not serious at all is anything that you can imagine in a shopping mall, you can pick up and use it as a weapon. And it varies from like lethal weapons to like, oh, you go into a toy store and get a giant Lego man head and you just put it over the head of a zombie and now they can't bite you and they're just stumbling around.
You can beat things to
So
death with wiffle ball bats. There's combo items like attaching TNT to items and cracking things over the head. Lawnmowers can be used as weapons. Like there's, let me get a total weapon count while you're talking on Dead Rising.
yeah, I'll just list off some of the weapons that I'm at least a little familiar with because I haven't beat this game. I haven't beat the original. I haven't beat the remake. I'm still playing it. But you can get like CDs. You can throw CDs like shuriken and kill zombies. Uh, so this game is like,
That's awesome.
yeah, in the game got in trouble because they were like, hey, this is really close to like the setting for Dawn of the Dead, and the studio kept pushing. They're like, oh no no no,
Yeah.
we only took slight inspiration from it. Like just listen to the whole story and you'll see what we're talking about. So as you're playing through, you're getting evidence, you're learning the story, you're saving survivors. Um, you come you come to the realization that the zombie outbreak was actually done on accident by the U.S. government. So they
Classic.
were, yes, classic. They were doing experimentation with quickly breeding cattle because this game has a hot take on consumerism and how America is bad for that. So they were experimenting with breeding cattle at a quicker rate to keep up with the supply and demand of meat for America. And they were doing this in a Mexican town, which I cannot remember the name of. See if I can't find it real quick.
There are a total of 141 base weapons in Dead Rising. Everything,
141.
yeah, everything from like a 2x4, barbells, baseball bats. While you're looking, just let me know when you get the name of that down. You can use a bench
yeah.
as a weapon, bicycles, boomerangs, bowling balls, buckets, cacti, canned food, cardboard boxes, ceremonial swords, chainsaws, chairs, condiments, vehicles, full on vehicles,
Just
excavators,
blasting a zombie with ketchup.
fences, the frying pan, gems, golf clubs, guitars, acoustic, guitar bass, and guitar electric. You use a whole ass gumball machine, and half of this stuff is literally just like pick the gumball machine up and smack shit in the head with it. One of the fun ones is a hunk of meat. You can find them all around the mall. It's just you pick up a hunk of meat. It's like somebody's severed arm and toss it into the fucking wherever the fuck you want everything to go, and they'll follow. It's fun. It's wild.
So can't find the name, at least on this article that I'm referencing. Anyway, so somehow the experimentation affected wasps. And if you get stung by these wasps, you basically become a zombie. You become like a host zombie, and that wasp like kind of lives in you. But like as you bite people, you still transfer like the zombie outbreak. So when you find that out, you also get the ability to basically catch these wasps, and you can throw them into crowds of zombies, which kills the wasp, but also kills like a large portion of zombies in that area. But the mysterious man that you meet up at the top of the hotel, he plays a pretty major part in the game. His name is Carlito, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it is.
And he has a sister, is Isabella. Isabella, yeah.
Yep.
So they were like one of the few people that survived leaving that Mexican town, because that Mexican town no longer exists. It is burnt to the ground. The US scientists and everything, the US scientists and everything were like, hey, we can't let this get out. Burn it to the ground. Didn't really make a difference. It got out anyway. So Carlito is like, hey, for whatever reason, he's like, hey, I'm gonna come to America and release this plague that I think he started it basically, or he contributed to it being as bad as what it is. And his plan is to blow up the mall that you're currently in. So you have to basically
that is a
stop
solid
him.
plan.
Yes, it is. It's like stick it to the man. Like, we're gonna blow up your mall. It doesn't really matter. The world is coming to an end with zombies anyway. So you end up stopping him, and there's multiple endings for the game. The best one is you save all the survivors, obviously.
If I remember correctly, canonically, Frank dies in every single one, though.
Yes, yeah. Basically, the guy that is supposed to come back to save you and pick up all the survivors in this little chopper, he shows up at the end of the game, and he's like, Frank, we need to get you out of here, get all these survivors out. And there's somehow a zombie on the helicopter that he was not aware of, and it bites him, and he crashes.
It's a whole joke.
Yeah, so Frank is like left on the helipad, like, no, and then that basically is how the game ends.
There's 2 doors to this chopper, and yeah, dude, it was a whole
Yeah, yeah. So it's one of those games where if you don't enjoy that type of silly, nonsensical gameplay, probably not the game for you. But if you like Saints Row, and you like zombies, I would highly recommend you play this game.
Daulton put it best. He kind of hit the nail on the head with his description.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of Saints Row.
Absolutely.
So the gameplay loop for this game is fairly simple. You play through it once for the story, and then you play through it multiple times after that, because you get into the game, you get into the mall proper, and you go, cool, now I have 7 days to fuck around, let's build a fort. And I used to always go to not the food court area, it's the area completely opposite the food court, where the Lego heads are. It's the entrance to the movie theater. It's that thing that has the second level where the bar is and the restaurant up top. Used to go up
Yeah.
there, take all the fucking shopping carts and block off both set of stairs. I'd take control of the entire top floor. Like that's where I'd stockpile food and like it's just there's all sorts of different fun, stupid things to get into in that game.
Now, I don't remember if it was like this in the original, but if it wasn't, they added it in the remake. They do have an endless mode.
No, that did
How
not
exactly?
exist. Like I
No?
said,
Okay.
if you wanted to just fuck around, you typically had to start a new game, and then you would get your 72 hours to play, and then at the end of the time you would just get a bad ending and you'd restart the fucking cycle. But in the original game, there's certain things that you would have to do to like unlock. If you're doing a playthrough, if you want the Mega Man Blaster, for example, it will never spawn until you meet a certain criteria, if you will. That criteria is typically special and it takes more than one gameplay cycle to go through. So once you hit that criteria, it's locked in for your gamer account or for your profile. So now, it's my third playthrough. I did the thing to get the Mega Man Gauntlet to spawn in the spot it's supposed to spawn in. Now, every single time, I will have that Mega Man Gauntlet available at the start of the game in the safe rooms. There's a special table in the safe rooms where like high level stuff that you have to like do special shit to unlock in the first place just kind of appears. There's also a small section for certain like pieces of like clothing and armor that will show up there as well too. So
that being said, you made a good point, and Daulton, you can go ahead and throw me under the bus for this as well. So I bought the most expensive version of the remake because it came with a bunch of skins. It's a bunch of classic skins for characters from other Capcom games. Like you have Mega Man, you have some characters from the Resident Evil games. There's a few other characters that I'm not super familiar with, but yeah, I'm rolling around in the oh my gosh, what are they called now? It's escaping my mind. The big dude, the big scary dude in Resident Evil, Mr. T,
Mr. X.
Mr. X.
There's Mr. X and there's Nemesis, both of them.
The dude with the trench coat and the fedora.
The fedora is
That's
Mr. X. Yeah, that one's Mr.
Okay,
X.
yeah. So yeah, I've been rolling through playing that game as Mr. X. So
hell yeah, dude, Dead Rising, hell yeah.
By the way, I do the same thing with most games. Is I will buy if I buy a version of a game, I try to buy like the expensive version. Not even because I want what's in it. Like I'm just like, oh, this has to be the coolest one. Let's spend $120 on Call of Duty.
Yeah. Oh my god. Jeez.
Yeah. So no, I get you there.
Yeah. So that's basically my game.
So you bought, like you mentioned, you bought the remastered, right?
Yes.
Did they add some sort of co-op to that?
There is no co-op.
Fuck. That is, I used to have a friend that we would hang out on, and this was the early days of Xbox Live too, because this game I think came out the same year that the 360 did.
Yeah, it was one of the launch titles, I believe.
So
2006.
Online co-op was largely not a thing anyway at that point. I was really hoping that they would think about that for the remaster, because I had a friend that we both had the game, and we used to just like hang out and talk on Xbox Live, party chat back in the early days.
Yeah.
And just we would always hang out in like a different part of the mall than the other one was currently in to make it seem like we were playing co-op. It was a whole stupid fucking thing, but no, that's always been fun. That's cool. They always had like they added like online co-op with some of the later Dead Rising titles, but I always wanted to see it in the original, at least some sort of split screen co-op. But
yeah, I've never played any of the other Dead Rising games. I know that
they're all as fun as the first one. They really are.
Okay.
I think Dead Rising 3 takes place in an open world city. It might be Dead Rising 4.
Okay.
But that's worth it because you have access to like there's steamrollers that you can get and shit.
Oh my god.
Yeah. There's wood chippers, like you can drive backwards with wood chipper trucks and shit. Like it's just all sorts of
Grinded out
There's
zombies.
one.
Steamroller is the one that I knew the most.
Yeah,
That
I
was the one
have-
that they had video clips of
I have a
as, like,
video clip of
promotion.
me and one of my friends on a rooftop in Dead Rising 3 or 4. And I'm in a 2-2 and he's in like what was the thing that oh shit. God damn it. The green speedo that what's his face wore, that Borat wore. You know what I'm talking about?
You talking like a banana hammock?
Yes. So my buddy
But
was
like,
in a
but it went like all the way around, right?
Yes, my buddy was in one of those, and I was in a 2-2, and we were flying explosive drones around from the rooftop. And Dead Rising, I have a screenshot of that somewhere on the Xbox.
Oh,
Dead
God.
Rising's a blast. All of them are. They're all good. I could give a shit about the story anyway.
I mean, dude, the story is literally there just to exist and make it a game, like give you something to do. But like, if it was just a zombie sandbox, dude, I would absolutely love that.
What the fuck was what it is somebody said Dead Rising, this is how Dead Rising was made. Somebody saw My Buddy, the old Flash game. Do either of you know that?
I
Nope.
don't know that.
He was like a little gray dude.
Bro's out here talking about Flash games.
Yeah, he was an interactive buddy. He was a little gray dude, and he was like a little gray circle with a tinier gray head and two little gray circle heads or hands and feet. And you could rub his tummy and he would like you, right? But when you rubbed his tummy, you got money, and the more money you got, the more things you could buy. And you could either go the loving route or the bad route. So you're like, I got him a baseball, and you'll toss him the baseball, and he'll catch it. And a little heart will pop up, and a little money sign will pop up. You throw him the baseball again, and the same thing will happen. And then you throw it too hard and hit him in the head, and he kind of goes to the corner and cowers with a little heartbreak symbol, but you still get money. And then you realize that once you have enough money, you can either get like another loving thing, or because you unlocked the baseball last, now you have access to a hand grenade. And so somebody saw Interactive Buddy, said, how do we make this into a zombie game? And the fucking investors were like, no, it needs a story. That's how Dead Rising was made. Seriously, look up Interactive Buddy if you have never seen it. It is wild. That's
So
peak high school.
basically, they just said, how many ways can we possibly torture someone
That's
with
exactly what it was.
objects you would find at a mall? Oh, but wait, we need a story too. Okay, how did the zombies get in the mall? Got it.
So super grandma is how they got in the fucking mall.
Dude,
Oh shit.
every time I see that opening cutscene, it's like why
It's
didn't you guys
ridiculous.
just like? It's like, okay, I can understand. Let's just put that aside for a second. Maybe she's very strong and caught them off guard. If she opened the door and started crawling out to get her dog, dude, I would just push her out there and close the door.
Close the door.
Like,
You got the dog. Congrats. I linked Interactive Buddy for you guys in chat.
oh boy.
All right.
So
That's
that is Dead Rising wrapped up.
All right.
I've enjoyed it so far.
God damn it. You guys ready for the last game then?
Let's hear
Hit
it.
us with it. What is your spooky entry?
Oh yeah. So
Spooky entry.
I played a game called Phas or Phasmophobia. I've actually been playing it for quite a few years. Daulton, Sarah, and I have both been playing it for quite a few years. Daulton played his first match with Sarah and I like last weekend, maybe. It was the weekend before that.
That wasn't the first time I played the game, but
Fair.
with you guys, yes.
Fair, yes.
Sarah's been trying to get me to that game as well.
Dude, it's a trip. I don't play it alone because it's one of the few games in my life that actually fucks me up. I am the little bitch that if everybody else dies, I'm going to the truck, make your choice because we're leaving.
I'm the same way. I'm such a bitch.
Dude, it's so bad. So Phasmophobia is a paranormal horror game made by British indie game studio Kinetic Games. It was released originally in September of 2020 as an early access title. It at some point I think got its full release. I'm not really sure. I played it for a couple hundred hours when it came out, and when Sarah and I jumped back into it pretty hard in the past like 3 or 4 months, a lot has changed. I do believe it has its full release now has its 1.0 plus release, because when we got back into the game, it offered us some bonus stuff for being part of the early access testing group. But essentially what it is, it's a party game. It has the potential to go really deep, but it's a 4-player couch, or not couch, it's a 4-player party game. You and up to three of your friends get dropped into a house in like the most over contrasted, can't change the fucking settings scene you'll ever see, the most underlit bullshit you'll ever see. You'll turn on a lamp in a hallway and it will illuminate 2 feet around the lamp. But you get dropped in a house, and the house is haunted. And you and up to 4 of your friends have a smattering of tools that you have to go through to find out what kind of ghost is haunting the house. And ideally, you do not die in the process. A short list of things that there are. I actually, on my second screen, on my main screen, I have on GitHub, there is an unofficial like Phasmophobia cheat sheet that's a little bit more in depth than some of the game mechanics I'll talk about here in a minute. But you have things like spirits, wraiths, phantoms, poltergeists, banshees, demons, shades, revenants, mares, jinns, yuris, onis, yokai, hantu, gorios, obakes, raijus, twins, onryos, mylings, mimics, moris, diogens, and thays. They go really in depth as to what a lot of this stuff is.
I know most of those.
You do?
Yes.
Hell yeah. So, like I said, you have to use a smattering of tools to try and figure out what it is. So each ghost has 3 pieces of evidence that it can be used, that have to be used to properly identify it. For example, the phantom. For example, the phantom has to have a positive spirit box test, ultraviolet test, and dots test. I'll get into what those mean here in a second. You have, if anybody's seen Ghost Hunters that is listening or watching, which Ghost even if you don't believe it, we've all seen Ghost Hunters. You have an EMF device that you can use that has 5 different levels to it. The higher the level that it reads off to you, the higher the fuckery that's going on, and the higher chance you probably want to fucking leave. Ultraviolet is a UV light that can detect fingerprints, handprints on various different things. If the ghost tries to shut a door, it may have an opportunity to leave a handprint on it. Writing is essentially, you have a notebook that is a ghost book, and you throw it on the floor and you say, bitch, write in my book, please. And if they write in the book, then that's positive for ghost writing. Freezing temperatures, it's fairly self-explanatory. It's pretty widely believed that ghosts make rooms colder than the surrounding areas. Dots is like a laser projector, like a star projector. If anybody's seen like the devices that shoot stars up on, if you're an infant, an infant's room. If you're a nerd like me, stars across our fucking computer room. And then when you see a paranormal item move through that, you'll essentially see the almost like a wireframe or a vertice representation of what's walking through it. Don't know how much sense that made, but ghost orbs is a piece of evidence that you have to use a video camera on, and you'll see little specks of white light floating around the scene. And then the spirit box it's a box where you talk to the spirits and they'll talk back at you like, Kimball Reed, are you here? And it says run, and you're like, no, it's time to fucking leave. That's positive for spirit box. Now the fuckiness with this game comes with the fact that every minute you're in the house, so every minute in your house, the ghost has the opportunity to hunt. And when the ghost hunts, your flashlights, all your equipment, if it projects light, starts flickering, and the ghost spawns and starts hunting. And it uses various different methods to hunt. You have a couple of different like closets, depending on what difficulty you're playing on, that you could hide in. But the main door to the house shuts, and the circuit breaker trips. So you're in the dark and you can't escape. That's the surface level of this game. That's the grab 3 friends and have a stupid night playing a scary / funny game. However, the game goes pretty in depth if you really want to take it there, because on top of those pieces of equipment, you can also get access to things like salt that you pour on the floor, and you can kind of see where this ghost is walking to while it's not spawned. Because when the ghost hasn't spawned per se during a hunt, it's always existing and doing something in the house. You can get access to the cross things. What the fuck are those?
Crucifix.
Thank you. You can throw crucifix.
Glad
on the
you knew
ground.
because I couldn't remember what it was called either.
And the crucifixes like cancel out a hunt, right? So you'll know that you just saved your ass from a hunt because the crucifix will catch on fire and burn. There's yeah.
Okay.
So there's a lot of other things. Like each of these pieces of equipment, also you start out with the shittiest one, and as you level your character up, you'll get access to a better one and a better one. For example, the easiest one is so you is like, let's take the thermometer for freezing temps. It's just a regular thermometer. You have to look at it and watch the mercury go up and down. The max level, there's 3 tiers. Tier 3 is a laser thermometer, so you can check different rooms from a distance, and kind of hopefully keep yourself a little bit safer while you're checking around. Successfully completing a hunt gets you money, which you use to buy these items. If you die, you lose all of the items that you contributed to that hunt. So when with all the different ghosts, though, they all act differently. So I have the cheat sheet in front of me for a rather important reason, because it does feed off some stats that you're not going to find available in the journal in the game that you would use to track down your ghost. Yes.
Before you get into that, if you're say because it's multiplayer, so
Yes.
you can, and I'm assuming you can only take so much equipment with you as
Yes.
one person.
Yes.
So
So you can take up to 4 of almost every item in the game in the truck. However, you yourself can only hold 3 items at a time.
Okay, so if let's say I have a flashlight, a thermometer, and a spirit box, and I die, can you guys like pilfer those pieces of equipment off of my corpse? No.
If
Okay.
you contributed
In the
those,
moment, yes. In the moment, yes.
Oh,
you
yes,
drop
to
them on
use-
the
to
ground.
continue using, yes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I could immediately grab the spirit box and start trying to use it. As far as like trying to save it at the end of the game, if it's equipment that you contributed, it's gone. You don't get that back.
Oh, okay.
That being said, the game always supplies the basic equipment for you on every. You can't go into a map without the basic equipment, if you will. You always have 1 EMF, 1 ultraviolet, writing, freezing dots, ghost orbs, and spirit box. So the ghosts all act differently. For example, like so you have a sanity system in this game. The longer you spend in the dark, the less your sanity gets. Different ghosts like to hunt at different average sanity levels. Different ghosts will only respond if 1 person is in the room or even in the house at a time. Some will only respond if everyone's in the house. Some will be picky from time to time. When they hunt, some ghosts move at different speeds. Some have different lines of sight. There's so much that can go into this game. Like let me click on an Oni for 0 evidence test. For example, an Oni drains 20% sanity during events instead of the standard 10. They will not do a ghost mist event at all. So like if you have your ghost list up and you see mist floating through the room and you actually know your shit with the game, you're like, it's not an Oni. The Oni can't do mist. Blinks more frequently during hunts, is more active around multiple people, is more likely to appear as a full ghost model during events instead of some bitch that floats or a half body crawling across the floor. Stuff like that. And all the different ghosts have various different stats and special things that they can use, like a Raiju during a hunt causes electric disturbances at 15-meter range instead of 10. The Mimic, which is my least favorite thing on the face of the earth, where's it at? I could just read it off to you. It changes what ghost it's mimicking from minute to minute. So the only saving grace is that it will always have ghost orbs. But past that, you don't know what it's doing because it's changing how it hunts, it's changing who it responds to all the time. It's a pretty in-depth game. On top of that, they have like maps from the first map that you have access to is only like maybe 6 rooms and a basement. So it's pretty manageable solo, but larger ones, for example, the Brownstone High School, it's got like 80 rooms. It's like a full ass high school. Sunny Meadows, which is a insane asylum. It's got like, I'm looking at it. It's fucking
What a fitting
huge.
name.
Like even for a full crew with full equipment, these large maps are like, we're either going to stick together and spend an hour finding the area that's haunted and maybe die in the process, or we're going to split up, find the room quick, and one of us is definitely going to die in the process. It's a really, really fun game, but it's also one of the only games I've ever played that I genuinely have problems with if everyone else dies and I'm left alone. Like, real problem.
So, is it that you're only trying to identify what spirit it is?
Yes.
And then
So,
are you like not executing? What is it called? Like banishing it.
Oh,
Is that
no,
like
you're
the
just
final
wanting to
step?
identify it. So the primary goal of every hunt
exercising them.
is to properly identify the ghost. Past that, there's a couple of minor objectives that different people have access to, like take a picture of the ghost, which means that you have to like pay attention during a hunt because that's not fun. I'm too busy running and hiding in a closet than to like turn around and be like, smile. Escape a ghost event with your average sanity below blah blah blah. There's various different secondary objectives that you can be given for the mission. If you die and somebody takes a picture of your dead body, you get insurance money from it to try and recoup. What it does is it recoups a portion of the amount of money of the equipment that you contributed to the match. If that makes sense.
Take a picture of my corpse. It's like, I'm suing the thermometer company because it didn't.
Like, you almost always have, like, at the very least, a small, like, for example, a regular flashlight is $15, let's say. Even if you completely botch a mission and everybody dies and you get the ghost wrong, one way or another, just from gaining XP from playing a match, you're getting like $10 or some shit. Like, you're getting some sort of money. A well done hunt with all of the stuff done properly and all the secondary objectives and everybody lives and everything will net you $500 or $600. But you're also in a world where like the most expensive piece of equipment in the first like 100 hours that you'll play the game is $30. And oh no, I lost it. I guess I'll spend another $30 on it. Whatever. That being said, Sarah and I both have like 500 hours in it. So
it'd be funny if that was real money.
I wouldn't be doing ghost hunts. That'd be horrible. What if that's how you had to make money? We are tangenting hard.
Well, I mean, look at all the. Well, okay, so complete side tangent here. So we obviously talked about ghost hunters. They make money off that. When I was going to school, my roommate, as a side, not a side job, but a side hobby, she hunted ghosts. And she had some pretty fancy high-tech equipment that you were like kind of discussing.
She has some pretty fancy high-tech run-ins too, because fuck that job.
She did show me two video clips she had where she thought she might have got something paranormal. Now obviously that's up to your discretion on whether or not you believe that or not.
I don't really believe it, but I'm also not going in the fucking house.
It's like I don't know if I believe that, but you saw something and I don't like it, so wherever that building is, I'm not going in.
It's like if you're genuinely indifferent towards religion. You'd be like, yeah, fuck God. Sorry. You were cool, right? Yeah, that's Phas. That's Phasmophobia. Any questions on it? Past the word vomit that I essentially.
I mean, I think you answered all the questions I had that I was kind of curious about. Because like I know the game. I've seen some gameplay. I watched Markiplier. Shout out to Markiplier.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Go listen to Distractable.
Distractable.
Hey man, we're gonna have to start shelling out here to make some money.
Our direct competitor, Distractable.
We're Daulton's the proprietor of this operation, if that's the case.
Yeah.
Correct. You're going down, Mark.
Shit.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's Phas though.
You've taken over You've taken over the Korean podcast demographic for far too long.
What?
Okay.
That's all I got.
think
I don't
most,
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Just say, I don't think
Oh
most of
wait,
his
I did
fan
have a
base is
question.
Korean.
Oh, okay.
I
Good.
I did have
Top, like,
an actual question in regards to Phaz.
it's already ruined, but go ahead.
Favorite and least favorite ghost to try to figure out.
Oh, least favorite by far, it's the mimic. By far, the only way that the only.
Uh-oh. Dogs be barking.
Well, yeah, everybody started barking. Let's see. Mimics, the only way that I've like kind of, they always have ghost orbs. I mentioned that from like the list of things. They always have ghost orbs showing. So I'll be walking around with the video camera first thing in a map, and I'll walk into a room and just ghost orbs. And 90% of the time that you notice it right off the bat, it is a mimic. But it doesn't, it's always something else often enough to piss me the fuck off, if that makes sense. As far as favorite, I don't really know. I said I had,
I hate them all. I don't have a favorite. I hate them all.
Yeah, so if I have 500 hours in this game. If you were to ask me how many hours it takes to get good at this game, my response would be, I will let you know when that fucking happens. Because even with all the stats and shit in front of me, like like I said, Sarah will have died, right? And I refuse to go back into the house, but we have ultraviolet confirmed. So that takes me down to Phantom, Poltergeist, Banshee, Jinn, Demon, Mimic, Obake, Myling, Goryo, and Hantu. And I'm not going back in the house. I already fucking said that like 50 times. So I'm sitting over here like, Banshee has a 33% chance to give a unique scream through parabolic microphone. Well, I've been using the parabolic microphone and I haven't heard anything. I don't think it's that, so we'll cross that off the list. Besides, it needs dots, and I ran around with dots for fucking 20 minutes and didn't see shit. Poltergeist during hunts will throw an item every half second with an increased force. Well, the last hunt, it was pretty fucking chaotic, so that seemed like the room was exploding, so it could be that. And I'll do that for like 10 minutes, and I will like decipher and like stat and min-max, try to min-max this game and like use logic. And I'll be like, okay, I think it's a poltergeist. And then at the end of the game, it'll say that I was wrong and it was something that's not even on my fucking list. I'm like, I don't understand how the fucking game games. So I couldn't tell you what my favorite ghost to hunt is. I hate hunting all of them.
But I hate them all. They all suck.
Yeah,
this game is so bad. 500 hours and it sucks.
So one other question.
Yeah.
Before I let you wrap this up. If a player dies, do they just watch you guys kind of continue on?
I totally didn't think about that. Yeah.
When you get caught, the ghost hands come from around the screen like this, and shit goes black.
Oh, no.
And then most of the
it's
ghosts
super
have,
creepy. The content or like the moment of dying is so creepy.
Yeah, and then each ghost has I don't want to count, so let's say there's 20 ghosts. There's way more unique models than that. So like the Revenant isn't always going to look like a Revenant, if you will. This match, the Revenant's the fucking lady floating around. Well, that's a bit excessive because Revenants don't levitate, so it can't be that model. There's, like I said, there's weird little things like that. But it might be a little girl this match and an old lady in the next match. But once the little hands come around and drag you into the blackness, you spawn in what I can only describe as a meat room. That is not a room that houses meat. It is a room of meat. And there is a single light hanging in the middle with the model that you just got hunted by on the other side of the room doing its weird, like waving its axe or whatever its idle animation is. And then the bulb pops, and then you are now a ghost in the house. You cannot hunt, haunt, or kill. However, I did find out fairly recently with playing with Sarah and the kids, and I think we did it with you, Daulton. No, it was Daniel, Sarah, and Daulton. As you're dead, when you're a ghost, you can still pick up items and interact and throw them.
Oh my god, they were being such a troll, dude. They were all running around me while I was the last person throwing books at me while I was in the room. and I thought it was a poltergeist because there were a bunch of ice skins thrown at me.
So
That's funny.
technically, you can fuck with people. Now, if you're not playing in a voice chat on Discord or in a party on Steam or something like that, the game, if you're dead, you can't communicate with the living, because it would be when you're dead, you can walk around the house and still check the book or check the thermometer that someone dropped, because those
Now,
things
is that like
change in real
is that
time.
like a means to kind of help your team who's still alive? Like, can you
Sarah does
communicate
that
in any
regularly.
way?
She will be dead and go, let me go check the thermometer. And then she'll bend down and look at the thermometer. And she'll be like, there was one time where the thermometer was under freezing temps. So her being dead, but we're sitting right next to each other. The game is designed that when you're dead, you can't communicate with the living.
Yeah, so that's
yeah.
what I was saying. Like if it were like me and you playing, obviously we have more distance than you and Sarah.
Right.
Like if I were dead, is there anything I can do to like actually help you other than
No.
just?
No,
Oh,
there's
okay.
not. There's no like text chat. You are invisible to living players. That being said, there was another thing that was tangential to that, but still important. Oh, there's proximity chat in the game for living players. So
Okay.
as you walk away, it starts to fade out, right? But if you hit the B button on the keyboard, you use your radio and people can hear you no matter where they are. Plus, it gives like this cool radio overlay to your voice. So,
I'm assuming some ghosts can affect the radio though.
Shockingly,
Yes.
no. Wait, they can?
When you're getting hunted, if you're outside and they're inside, there's zero communication.
It just
it'll
comes
just go
across as
static.
yeah, when you try to talk.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse in this
Which is
game
cool.
than being hunted and sitting by the back door or by the door to the house with nowhere to hide, and just like, the ghost is that way, but you refuse to look that way, and you're just staring at the door waiting for the lock icon to disappear the whole time. You're like, please, 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 open the door, leave. Yeah. Phaz, it's a blast. It's annoying as shit, but it's a blast. Also, the main menu of the game is actually a room, so it's a 3D main menu is essentially what it is. You have a computer screen for ordering items, you have the fucking pin board for selecting the map, you have another pin board for starting the game, and then there's basketball. You can play basketball. There's a giant Jenga game. There's horseshoes, and it's really shitty Unity physics interactions, like on purpose. They changed a lot of it, but the basketball just used to be a brick. Like you would throw it and it would land and go. But yeah, Phaz, it's fun. Play it if you haven't. It's worth it. And I know Sarah's been bugging you, Cameron, about getting it. So
I will get it. I will get it. I promise.
All right.
It'll be fun because it's four people.
Four of us would be
max,
able
right?
to play at that point if you get it too. Yeah, four.
Yeah, that would be sick.
Yeah,
that would be a sick episode, honestly.
Together. I see the gears starting in his head. Peer pressure.
Well, yeah, it'll have to be a game that waits for a couple paychecks. Like I said, John, you know I've been having some issues with with money.
Issues.
Yeah.
Issues.
So yeah, I went to go have my brakes changed, Daulton.
No.
Yeah, just
is it finally dying?
Well, so my my God, what are they called? Where the brakes apply pressure to stop the car is fine. That's not the issue. The calipers.
Gotcha.
The sway arms under like that
bar.
like kind of hold your tires in place and allow for your tires to turn, if I'm correct.
Tie rod?
Both of them.
Tie rod?
No, it's the sway arms.
Sway bar. Okay.
Or sway bar. Both of those need to be replaced, and they gave me an estimate for like $900.
No.
So
that's fair.
They worked something out with me where like I can buy the parts and they will just have me pay for labor to have the parts on, so that saved me about $200. But
it's getting harder and harder to find shops that'll do that too.
Yeah, this is why I go to the same shop all the time. I'm not going to out them because I feel like that's probably sort of under the table, but
yeah,
Thanks.
I mean-
Thanks. You guys know who you are.
Yeah. Like I
Thanks.
said, if you want a second opinion, I'll crawl under there and look at it for you.
They walked me out to the garage and they were like, "Hey, you might want to take a look at that." And they showed me. They're like, "Hey, it shouldn't look like that. It should look like this."
Fair. All right. Well, anybody else have anything before we close her up? Before we stitch her up? Before
Watch
we just
if you guys
kill her. It's a Halloween episode.
jeez.
Shut up.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you were taking that a little bit darker.
Mm-mm.
If you guys are watching this, you don't have to send us any messages or anything, but watch a Halloween movie. Do that for yourself. Watch a spooky movie or just a family friendly Halloween movie. Something fun.
Halloween
Or
keep seeing
something really
videos.
violent and terrible and scary
Yeah,
and depressing and morbid
I
and
I was
gory.
watching I was watching a video a couple days ago. It's becoming a trend. I've seen a few other videos talking about it, where like the spirit of Halloween in itself is dying. Like people don't really celebrate it like they used to. So
Spirit Halloween.
yeah,
Sorry.
response to the plan, guys.
Dalton. October
Yeah.
1. October 1st. I had a bag for Spirit Halloween in my blue bin. I was mad.
Are you
Like, it's the
serious?
fucking first of the month. Pull out a bag for Spirit. I was like, what?
Hey, people are getting ahead. I don't even have my. I'm supposed to go to like a costume party in a couple weeks, and I do not have a costume.
Not gonna lie, I like to dress up still and hand out candy. I don't go trick or treating, but I'll hand out candy. I'll be dressed
You
up
should
as
go trick or
Mothman.
treating. I think that'd be really funny.
I'll be dressed up as Mothman this year, so I'll send you guys
Oh,
pictures.
that's sick. That's cool. I don't know what I'm gonna be yet. I
I'm
want
gonna
to
be
do
a
something
mailman.
cool.
Be a mailman.
I want to be a mailman. Oh, one of our. So the last I heard is one of our kids is going to be a mailman. The other one's going to be a pickle. I don't know past that what the fuck's happening.
Those are two completely different things.
Our teenager said, "What's in between a mailman and a pickle?" And I said, "Autism. You're already dressed. Go have fun." So, and Sarah hit me. So,
I will say, just because you brought that up, there was one year.
autism,
I
pickles,
dressed,
or mailman?
yes, all of that. There was one year I dressed up as a banana, but to make it a little funnier, I had a monkey mask underneath the banana. So yeah, I was a banana. Yeah, I was a monkey disguised as a banana.
That puts off really heavy mammals. Nothing. We ain't nothing but mammals theme.
Yes.
What is the title? We're so off topic.
We were supposed to be wrapping this up, and now we're dragging it out.
At least we're the bad touch. At least we're not talking about tanukis, whatever. Yeah, it's the
Shut
bad
up,
touch
shut up,
by the
shut up,
blood-
shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. We're not again.
Okay. For
Oh,
anybody that missed the tanukis on the last,
Yeah, go
Don't watch
that
it.
episode.
Skip that segment.
you guys want to roll a dice and see what we're talking about next week, month,
Yes,
next
yeah,
month?
Let's
wrap this
rip
up.
it.
All right. Do we want to do it? Nah, we'll do this first. 14 is already taken.
Oh.
13. Really? Okay. Microtransactions. That's all it says.
Wow, we haven't talked about that yet.
I think we've talked about it a lot, just not in an official capacity.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fair.
Now we get to directly talk about it and rant about it aggressively, or not. Depends on who you are, I suppose. I guess I just outed my own point of view there.
Fuck the horse armor DLC. I was there for it. I lived it.
I love it. Let's talk about that next episode.
It's probably.
If you, Cameron,
If
if you
you
take
make it,
even a remotely anti microtransaction stance, I am going to obliterate you.
I bought the horse armor DLC. I am part of the problem.
I think that's what started it. I think was what started
Me
it.
buying it? Yeah, you're right. No, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that is. That was one of the first
You
microtransactions.
were
in the game.
patient zero.
I mean, Bethesda. All right.
You and Todd Howard, like this,
Yeah.
like this.
All right. So
If you want to take it that way.
I'm hungry. I haven't eaten yet. All right.
Yeah, I need to eat too.
So we need a host for the next episode. So
All right.
the next episode will be hosted by the wonderful Mr. or Mrs. I don't judge. I'm gonna go with Daulton for the last.
Go!
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with
Get
Daulton for the last
fucked!
of us.
You lost! No, I'm just kidding.
Whoa. Whoa. Wow. I'm gonna go with Cameron.
Sorry, I got really passionate.
That's passion. Okay, I'd hate to hear what hatred is. Fuck.
Says the motherfucker that pulled out a real gun when I was setting up the bit for picking a host.
Allegedly.
Right.
Allegedly. I don't even own those.
Yeah, I mean we are coming
I'm
up
not
on
gonna
election
get canceled,
season, so
but-
we got to be careful what we say, you know.
And we're out. You all have a good no for the Last of Us. I'm picking Daulton for the Last of Us. I'm picking Daulton for the Last of Us because he deserves it just for that. To be honest with you, that is such a fucking phenomenal game.
Damn, I just got to get out of jail free
Everybody.
card here.
Everybody should experience The Last of Us. At the very least, like the story. There's so many ways. There's comics, there's a graphic novel. Somebody has novelized it. There's a show, and they all capture the essence of what The Last of Us actually is. So go check it out, everybody. Please. And I hope you have fun finishing the story on that.
We're talking to you.
I did. I have.
Do it. Enjoy it. It's cool.
Insert Shia
Be cool.
here. Do it. All right. So, housekeeping. I don't think we have anything. I'm going to be honest. I did not check emails because
Watch this be the one time we get emails.
why fucking check
Watch
the
this be
emails
the
when
one
nobody
time.
sends anything in? It's real fucking helpful. I'm gonna check emails right now while I
was gonna say, I'll just have like 10 emails.
while I stall. So go to doortodoorgaming.com. That's the number 2 in door to door. Go to doortodoorgaming.com. Check it. We have a master list of games on there that you can poke through and be like, ooh, I really like the idea. I started Final Fantasy VII Remake. I wonder what's that about. It's in episode 6. It's on the list. You can go listen to it. Since I come up with stupid titles for the episode titles instead of the games that we talk about. As far as anything else, thank you. I appreciate that. I put minimal effort into them. I am just an idiot.
It piques people's interest. It draws them into that episode.
Thanks, Dalton. I am seeing nothing. There are no emails that I am seeing. So, past that, that's all we have. That's all I have. Unless you guys want to throw anything in there, like what you've been up to, what you plan on doing, life updates.
Yo, I got one thing.
Go for
Those that are younger that get gifts and presents for the holidays, start putting some games on your lists. Because you're gonna forget. You're gonna. I always make my Christmas lists and like holiday lists way too late, and then I like think of things as I make the list. But then if there's like something that I forget about, it doesn't go on the list. Make your lists early. If you have people that shop for you on the holiday and are nice enough to get you gifts, start making your list now because you're going to forget what you want.
Also,
maybe I'm crazy, but I do it all the time.
I don't like gifts. Don't give me anything.
Buy me everything. Anybody that's out there, I have an Amazon list. I'll link it in. We'll link it in this. Buy me stuff. I'll take all the free shit. I am shameless.
I was gonna say you were just
free stuff
right
is
now.
my love.
So that being said, as we get out of spooky season and into the cold season and winter and Christmas, please, for the sake of your mail carriers' sanities, do your Christmas shopping a little early, please. Like, I don't say I
Oh,
have to buy
true.
everything.
I didn't even
Yeah.
think to
The
mention
last
that.
week is horrible. I thought you said as it's getting cold, I thought you were gonna go the route of like take care of your mailman. If it's cold, if you're cold, they're cold,
too.
bring them in.
Yes, bring them inside.
Nah,
Bring them inside.
I was being thoughtful for our fellow community people, just not in our way.
That's fair.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's what puts money in our pockets. So
Listen, there's no reason for you to wait 4 days before Christmas to get little Timmy that fucking puzzle kit that he's not gonna give a shit about anyway. Put some thought into your gifts and get them months ahead of time. Thank you.
True.
And we're out.
And we're done. All right, this has been a random piece of trivia. During spooky season, which is right now, they change up the lobby of Phasmophobia, the main room. They add different decorations, and this is a pumpkin from Phas, from the main room.
That's terrifying.
Cool. Yeah. So on that note, everybody have a good night. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
I'm gonna get you.